Hey everybody, it's Dr. Reiser. If you like what you see in our videos, make sure you click subscribe so that you don't miss out on any future videos about functional medicine, nutrition, and tips on how to reclaim your health the easy way with Functional Health Center of the Carolinas. Hey everybody, it's Dr. Reiser. A very special Whiteboard Wednesday today, and I want you to listen up if you have one or more of the following symptoms, or if you know someone or if your child has one or more of the following symptoms. And let's list them out. Here we go. Anxiety, depression, episodic outbursts of anger, irritability, issues with stress response, low immune function, eczema, acne, ADHD, chronic headaches. One or multiple of those. And chances are, if you have one or multiple of those that have been chronic throughout your life, or if your child has multiple of those, you've gone to your doctor, you've talked about all those symptoms, and they say, hey, you're just anxious, you're just stressed, maybe they diagnose you with anxiety, you have chronic headaches, and they kind of brush you off. And as you can see behind me, we're going to talk about something that possibly can cause all of those, or several of those, in individuals, and your doctor rarely tests for this. It is the copper to zinc ratio in your body. And if you're in the holistic realm, the functional medicine realm, the alternative medicine realm, maybe you've heard a little bit about this. So we're going to go into it today, and this is what this video is all about. How to test for it, what to look out for, and a brief discussion about it. So copper, zinc, these are trace metals that are going to be in our body, just like manganese, chromium, you name it. You can test for these, and they have to be balanced in your body because they play important roles, and you get these from your food. So zinc and copper, we know, work great with neurotransmitter function, nerve function, copper especially with your red blood cell synthesis, zinc with immune system function and gut health. A number of things. And what we're finding, and we're doing some research that kids with ADHD, or especially a disease called Pyroluria. This is something that involves zinc, sometimes copper, and this ratio is very important in a lot of these diseases, or just these symptoms of anxiety and depression, headaches, and all that stuff. So copper to zinc ratio, you must have a 0.7 to 1 ratio of copper to zinc. If it's off, and typically what happens is you start to have too much copper, you will start to feel anxious, depressed, just overall not good, headaches, all of these types of things. The only reason I'm even going over this today is because I had a patient this morning, and is one of my virtual patients. She lives in California. Ray, if you're watching this, hey, thanks for the idea to do this Whiteboard Wednesday. And what we talked about is how she used to have a copper IUD. And these IUDs for certain individuals will push the copper level, because the copper is absorbed into the skin. It will push the copper levels way too high, and then your ratio starts to go the opposite direction. Copper goes too high, zinc goes too low. Well, when those things start to happen, and people on copper IUDs, or at least some of the people that we've talked to, you start to have those symptoms. You have anxiety, you have depression, you have mood swings, sometimes you get irritable, and all these things start to occur. That's an issue. And so removing that copper IUD and finding an alternative is beneficial, but also getting the zinc up back to a good ratio is important. So let's talk about where we're getting these in the environment, number one, and then what we have to do. So we'll pull this off here. And one thing that we've seen as far as copper is concerned, why this is becoming a problem, is plant-based diets. Copper in the diet is going to come from a lot of things, but especially nuts, seeds, grains. And when we eat a more plant-based diet, especially my vegetarians and my vegans out there, the copper starts to go very high. Well, you need zinc to offset that. But where is the majority of your zinc coming from? Meats, shellfish, and just overall seafood, to be honest. So you remove those from the diet, you are now not getting enough zinc. The copper-zinc ratio goes opposite, and these things start to happen. We'll go through them again. Acne, eczema, sometimes from this stuff. Immune system issues where you're always sick. Obviously, the zinc is going down. you have issues with anxiety, depression, mood swings, so on and so forth. So that can sometimes be too much copper. A test you want to look out for is just a copper to zinc ratio. And who I recommend, again, and I've used this company many times, is Quicksilver. If you think this is a possibility, we can run a Quicksilver metals test, blood metals analysis, looking for this ratio and seeing if you have the appropriate amount. Another thing we want to talk about, especially right now, what is happening with COVID-19? What is the one supplement that everybody is taking now because it's an immune system booster? Zinc. We are flooding our bodies with zinc now. And what's going to happen is that zinc starts to go up, your copper starts to go down. They're antagonists of each other. So they have to play a part with each other and be in a perfect balance. So if you're supplementing with zinc, you might want to watch out and also supplement with copper, okay? Or up seeds, nuts, and those types of things in your diet, especially if you were taking a zinc supplement, okay? If you're supplementing that. Now, if you're eating meat, you'll have enough zinc and copper together as a ratio in the meats to offset that. So let's go back a little bit though, because we did mention a little bit pyroluria. So this is a genetic condition. You'll typically see it in kids, especially kids with ADHD. One of the biggest things that we'll see and a telltale sign in kids is an episodic anger outburst, especially if they're at school, where all of a sudden they just get angry, they have an outburst, and they have that ADHD to couple with it. So what pyroluria, I hate that word, what pyroluria is your body is synthesizing hemoglobin and creating something as a byproduct called cryptopyrrole, okay? So those are going to be in excess in the body. They don't do anything, but what they will do is they will bind to B6 and they bind to zinc, and that makes your body deficient in both of those, that B vitamin B6 and then zinc, and it takes it and you will urinate it out of the body. So let's take a child, for example. That child now has decreased B6, decreased zinc, and what will occur then, you don't have those two items to help the body. Zinc, immune system function, neurotransmitter function, brain health, that comes with the anxiety and comes with the irritability. And then B6. B6 helps produce serotonin. Serotonin is the feel-good neurotransmitter. So if you don't have B6 to produce serotonin, then there's the episodic outburst of anger. Now, we see this in kids, but you can also see pyroluria in adults. If you feel like you have crazy anxiety, this could be something to test, or a path to go down to test. And that's why this copper to zinc ratio is so important. You can see what happens when one or the other goes out of balance. So we'll go back and recap here. If you feel like you have it, you want to look for these symptoms: estrogen issues, PMS issues that are crazy, irregular periods possibly, eczema, issues with sunlight, sometimes even in the outside with your skin, anxiousness, depression, headaches that are chronic. That could possibly be copper to zinc ratio. More often than not, you want to supplement with zinc, but you want to get this tested first, okay? So since we're on the subject, I always recommend zinc. We can do sulfate, we can do glycinate, whatever you want to do. And if you wanted to try maybe 10 to 20 milligrams per day to see if it makes you feel better, okay? Now, my patient that we talked to this morning took zinc. It made her feel worse. What did she have? Headaches. She was not balancing the ratio like we wanted to, so we had to further investigate. And that's what we can do, because it can be other neurotransmitters, it can be other pathways, and these pathways will affect your minerals, your metals, and all of those things. So, all right, hopefully you guys learned a little bit about the copper-zinc ratio today. Basically, what this video is, assess your symptomology, see if it is anything else that's remotely like it, thyroid, other disorders. I know I talk about GI tract issues with anxiety a lot, but this is something that's an easy test. You always want to see, especially with the Quicksilver test that we have. It will also look for things like mercury, lead, and those types of things. When copper starts to go high, it always pulls with it mercury, lead, and you'll have essentially heavy metal poisoning. And that's why you feel the way you do when you have high copper. So great test that will assess the ratio, looking at all your other trace minerals like chromium, and you'll look at all of your other possible heavy metal poisoning, arsenic, and those types of things. So awesome test, and we can absolutely order it for you to see if it's something that needs to be addressed, and then we can start to balance those things out for you. So, but basically the biggest PSA is if you're taking zinc, make sure you're taking a little bit of copper along with it, or just worry about it coming from your food. Just make sure you have a balanced diet, not too heavily plant-based, not too heavily towards the meat, balanced diet, and you should balance out your copper to zinc ratios. If you're still having the symptoms like we talked about, get a hold of me. Also, if your child is having these symptoms, ADHD, if you suspect any kind of Pyroluria, check us out. We can run the test as well. We have a child or a pediatric test here to test for that. But this stuff can get really complicated fast. So if you have any other questions, DM us as always. Email me, dr.riser@fhccarolinas.com. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful day. Be on the lookout for next week's Whiteboard Wednesday.